What's good, folks? I'm back and I'm here to go over the genealogical makeup and the genealogical history of what we know as Hispanics. Okay, the people that occupy Mexico, Central, South America. Okay, the Western Americas. I'm gonna fully explain in detail exactly how you get the so-called Hispanic that we see today as far as genetics are concerned. All right. Now, I just want to make this clear and simple as possible. Most of the so-called Hispanics or Latinos that we see today have three different genealogical roots. They have three major genomes, in them. And I'm going to break this down completely. All right. And before I get started, I'm just going to say, before we see these Hispanics that exist today, when they originally started out, they were black Asiatic people. All right. So when we look at the Hispanics today, we're seeing a genetic mixture of the European Spaniard, the Mongoloid, and the indigenous Inca, the indigenous Inca of the Americas, Also the black Olmecs. So the Hispanic that you see today is a genetic mixture of the black Incas, the black Olmec, the Mongoloids, and the Caucasian Spaniard. They have three different genomes in their blood. All right. Now, what you're looking at right here are the original people of Mexico. When you look at their phenotype, they look like they're pure Incan, pure Incan or pure Mayan. And there's over 1 million of these people in Mexico, that are really never shown by the mainstream media, because the mainstream media does not want you to know this information. All right. So when you look at it in a nutshell, the so-called Hispanic race has origins on the island of Lemuria. All right. So on Lemuria, you had the Asiatics, or you can technically just call them Atlanteans, heavily melanated beings that took their genetics and spliced it, with lemur DNA. That's why they call it Lemuria. Lemur DNA. If you want more information regarding that, how lemur DNA was spliced into human DNA, you might want to check out Brett Carr's information on YouTube. All right. So they spliced their DNA with lemur DNA, and that's how you get most of the so-called Spaniards that occupy Spain. Many of the conquistadors had that DNA. But you see, on the island of Lemuria, these beings were bred back together with the Mongoloid and the original, so-called black indigenous Incans and the Z people. Look up the Z people, XI, the Z people. They were the melanated gods that spliced their DNA together, with the Mongoloid DNA and the Caucasian DNA, and that gave you the so-called Hispanic that we see today. All right. Now, when you look at the Hispanics today, some of them can have a darker skin tone. Some of them can have more of a medium skin tone. Some of them can have a lighter skin tone. Okay, but that is just their phenotype. That's not their genotype. I've said in many other lectures that there are 2 melanin counts in somebody's body. You have the eumelanin, which is produced by the skin, the pigmentation of the skin. And then you have the neuromelanin count, okay, that is produced by the pineal gland, that really determines, how carbonated or how melanated somebody really is. Somebody can be born with a lighter skin pigmentation, but a high amount of neuromelanin, okay, which would still give them a very strong aura. You see what I'm saying? So, genetics are pretty interesting, pretty amazing if you ask me, pretty complicated, but I think it's very, very interesting. Now, it's very dumb for people in the Hispanic community to, show hatred and bigotry to so-called black people and to the darker people of the Hispanic community, because a lot of people don't know, there are Hispanics who are born dark-skinned, who go through ridicule and forms of oppression, okay, and get picked on throughout their life for having a darker skin shade. And what that is Caucasoid supremacy. That's a Caucasian supremacy mindset that was given to those people by the Spaniard conquistadors. Okay, so when you look at the genetic makeup of what you would call a Hispanic, most of them have type O blood. Okay, just how most so-called black people have type O blood. Okay, because the Hispanics were created on the island of Lemuria, and when this happened, okay, they got a good portion of the indigenous blood from the Inca, okay, the original Maya, the Z people, okay, the Atlanteans. Most Hispanics, have that original blood type. Okay, so like I said, it would be really ignorant for the Hispanic community to continue to show hatred and bigotry towards the darker people of the Americas, okay? Because, to all the Hispanics out there, this is what Trump thinks about you and your people. You know what I'm saying? This is what the U.S. corporation thinks about Hispanics. You see? This right here. The U.S. corporation hates Hispanics and has always hated so-called Hispanics. Okay? You know what I'm saying? You could just read article after article after article on how many Latinos and Hispanics are being rounded up at the Mexico-U.S. border, and they're being put right here in detention centers. But these detention centers are really concentration camps. Okay, so this is really, in a nutshell, this is the first group of people that has been put in these concentration camps by the hundreds and by the thousands. Okay, at the U.S.-Mexico border. All right, so this just goes to show you, just because a lot of Hispanics are getting the colonizers' breadcrumbs, and the colonizer's green piece of paper in this U.S. corporation, that doesn't mean a goddamn thing, because look what is happening to your people, okay, at the U.S.-Mexico border by the thousands. All right? The colonizer is trying to keep Hispanics out of this country at all costs. All right? And that is for a reason. They want Hispanics to get vaccinated, okay, and get their babies aborted just like black people. Okay? This is all about Caucasian genetic survival. That's what this is all about. Okay? And, the term that Hispanics would use for a darker skinned person, a derogatory term they would use, is the term mayate. Now, what people don't understand is the term mayate started by the Spaniard colonizers, okay? And it was used to describe the Mayan people, okay? It was used to describe the Mayan people. Ladies and gentlemen, look at the word Maya, Mayans, Maya, okay? So the Spaniards invaded their land and called them Mayate, Mayate. You see, the word Maya comes from Mayate. So for a Hispanic person to call a black person a Mayate, they think it's derogatory, but actually it's an honor, because the original Maya, okay, who built the pyramids in Mexico and Central America, you see what I'm saying? They were heavily dark-skinned people, okay, with locks in their hair and the whole nine, okay? So when you call somebody a Mayate, you're actually calling them an original Mayan, all right? Okay, and right here, look at this lie. You see the lies that Google like to make up and pull out of their ass? Look at this. No, the Mayans were not black. However, Africans can be seen in the Mayan codexes and hieroglyphics, which is complete bullshit, because the original pictures of Montezuma, the King Montezuma, he was heavily dark-skinned, okay? And it shows right here the warriors. It shows warriors and kings and queens that are all heavily dark-skinned people. You see what I'm saying? This is why the Olmec statues in Mexico have so-called Negroid features, okay? So when you see the Mayan phenotype, okay, it may not look as Negroid, but according to these very old paintings and hieroglyphics that were found in temple walls, okay, it shows the original Mayans had really dark skin. They were heavily dark skinned, okay? Therefore, the Mayans are so-called black people. But right here, you have this bullshit article on Quora. Okay, see, Quora is just somebody's opinion, not going off of any facts. So this person tried to say that the Mayans were not black, but Maya, Mayate, means dark-skinned person, okay, based off of etymology, all right? So they've been debunked, okay? Right here, look up the Z people. This is how you get the word Mexico, Mexico, okay? The XI in Mexico has to do with the Z people that are Asiatic, okay? The Z people were Asiatic, and they dwelled in Lemuria. And the Z people were Incan. They were mixed with Incan, dark indigenous blood, Asiatic blood, and they mixed their blood with Caucasian genetics on the island of Lemuria, okay? And that gave you the so-called Hispanic that we see today, okay? And like I said, for you Hispanics out there that don't understand how much this U.S. corporation hates you, how much the colonizer hates you, just look what went on in Texas. Look what went on in Texas in the 1800s. Do you know what they did to Hispanics in the 1800s? You know what these so-called cowboys did? They rounded you up, okay? They used you for target practice, and then they tied your bodies with ropes, okay? And they had the horses pull you and drag you all across the desert floor, okay? To take the skin off of your back, okay? To take the skin off of your backs, all right? Okay, they hunted you down, okay? And they used your bodies as trophies. You see? You see? They also hung Hispanics in states like Texas, okay, New Mexico, Arizona. All right? You guys better wake the fuck up. You so-called Latinos, Hispanics better wake the fuck up. And just because the colonizer gives you some goddamn breadcrumbs, you know what I'm saying? That is no reason whatsoever to treat the darker skinned people of the earth with hatred and ridicule, okay? Because the colonizer is doing the same goddamn thing to you, all right? Okay? And right under black people of the Americas and Africans, okay, the Hispanics have the second highest neuromelanin count out of any other group of people on the earth, okay? So right below Africans and the black indigenous of the Americas, the Hispanics have the second highest neuromelanin count in the world, okay? And this is why, you know, the United States government, the European nations, this is why they conspire against the Hispanics as well, all right? So like I said, you Hispanic Latinos out there, you guys better wake the fuck up. The term Hispanic did not exist before 1970. The term Hispanic did not exist before 1970. So what were they calling Hispanics before the 1970s? They were calling them light-skinned Negroes, all right? They were calling them light-skinned Negroes. They were still calling them Negroes, all right? They didn't give a fuck how much Asiatic blood they had in them. They didn't give a fuck about how much Spaniard blood they had in them, okay? They saw certain facial features. They saw that the skin had some form of melanin in it, and they determined, okay, the so-called Hispanics as Negroes before 1970. Okay, go do the research. Go do the research. I don't talk out of the side of my neck. I don't talk out of my ass. All right. Okay, I'm a firm believer that the so-called Hispanic and Latino group and so-called black group in the Americas need to stand together and unite against the colonizer at all costs. Okay. So with all that being said, I appreciate everyone who supports RFG and the Atlantean movement. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's the Chosen One, man. I'm out.